Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou e wakarongo mai nei ki tēnei o ngā hōtaka o Koniahi i Kōrero. O tira ki koutou rā e mātakitaki mai nei tēnei pāpā o mata ora ki runga i a pukamata kei te mihi hoki ki koutou katoa. O tira ki koutou e wakarongo mai i te iHeart Radio me te whare kōrero hoki. Koinei ngā mii mata kuikui ki koutou katoa. Ana, nōku te maringa nui. Ko tai mai tōku tuakana ki taku taa. Ana ki koutou rā kaori te mōhio, ai, toko toru oku nei tuakana, ana ko tēnei wahine pūrotu rawa atu, tētahi o rātou. Nā reira kei te kite ke koutou, ko wai kei taku taa, ko wai atu, ko Katarina Mako. Nā reira e kati ka tuku te rākau ki koe, ki te mii atu ki te marea e wakarongo mai nei i tēnei wā kei a koe te wā.
Tēnā koutou te marea e whakarongo mai ana ki a Konihi ahi, tēnā Konihi ahi kōrero.
Koniahi kōrero.
Koniahi kōrero. Koniahi kōrero i tēnei ata, nōku te whiwhi te aho nei kia pōhiringia ki tēnei o ngā whakaaturanga o tēnei o ngā kōrero, whakawhitinga kōrero. Ai, koe tētai ho ngā tuakana, kua rongo au i ngā kōrero, he tuakana no tau, ai, koe tēra, ko Pati Mako. Tēnei e mihi kawatu ana kia koutou katoa. Karape, te nui ngō koutou mōhio ke au i te mea koe wanake i tukuna ki tētahi kura ririke. Tukuna atu ki tarana, ki tirakina, noho atu ai mo te whātau. Hioi anō, i pai ki au te haere ki tirakina. Nā reira, ka whakatoi atu au ki aku teina, te mea ia rātou rāua te kōwhiringa.
Engari titiro ki ngā hua kua pota mai nei e kati. Titiro ki a koe me tō ngākau mahaki, ki o tamariki, ki o iramatu me o mokopuna, nā mātou kē te whiwhi i haere koe ki turakina. Ana ai e te whānau kei te tika te kōrero, I tuku a māmarau ko papa i a kati ki turakina mō ōna tau wharekura, kura tuarua me ki. Ana I noho mai a māua ko eri, ana teina ki Whakarongo, ana I turaina māua o mātau me ki, ko Rene, ko moko ko rā, ki te kura tuarua o Whakarongo, and I must say, look at the fine specimens that we have turned out to be also. So the difference is quite clear. E te whānau, if you know us, if you know our family, yeah, you will know Kat, solid as a rock, very steady, although of late, sometimes late, actually, a habit she has formed over the last year that is excruciatingly annoying. But we're not here to talk about that, e te whānau. We're here to talk about her pukinga and her mahi, actually, within ki tō tātou nei hāpori, ki roto I tō tātou nei iwi o Ngāruahine, ko tōna mai hei pauako ngā tātou. I noho ia hei tumuaki mo te kura o Ngāruahine mo te wāpoto hoki. Hei kairiwhi mō ngā, say, tika tera? Yeah. Ana, mo tēnei ui, kei te kōrero māo ko kati mō ngā whakaaro, mō ngā mahi kei mua I te aroaro I tēnei āhuatanga o te noho moho ao me ki te mate urutā. Nā reira kati, what are the differences that we're seeing this year in comparison to last year? You've already had an interview with Te Aroha and touched you did cover some of it, but I feel like it could go a little bit deeper. What do you think? What do you think informed us this year on how we were going to do things in regards to our COVID-19 response? Neki, if we were looking for a flash word, in comparison to how we did things last year.
Yeah, can I just clear this up though? I tukuna hau ki te rikina, I te mea te kimi huarahi Māori ake, a māmara o kopapa, ne? Māori ake I a whakawhiringi, sorry guys. But then Iri didn't want to go, and he wasn't made to go, just saying. And probably
if Iri was here, she would say, could I just clear something up? And she will probably, no, well, she will. I've actually interviewed Iri too. We talked about this. I haven't played the interview yet. But she did say that you had, yep, you got sent there, and she was going to have to go there too, except for they made a deal with her. If she placed in the top, 5 or something for badminton in the country.
Got a New Zealand placing in badminton, rata. Which she did, and I'm like, she kind of gave up badminton like the year later. And just saying, okay. You could actually beat Eddie at badminton for most of the primary school. Psyched out. Not because I was better, slightly psyched out.
It's it's the tuakana taina thing, you know? E te whānau at play right now. I feel like she's going to start taking over my interview too, e te whānau, very shortly.
Ki te pātai. Last time, ko te ratu noho, ko te mea tuatai, eh? Oho rere kato. Totally brand new. What are we going to do? What are we looking for? Ana I hui te whānau, hui hoki mātou. Yeah, hui te whānau. Te mea kura aho matua mātou, whakahaere te whānau. Hui ana te whānau, and we had a good look at what were we hoping to get back at the end of the noho. No? So our whole rationale and our whole rautaki was based around what we were looking to get back at the end of the noho. And so ko te tū hono ai tētahi o ngā tino raru, I think, o te noho mohoa. The ability to be able to connect with other people. And so we decided we would send all our devices home, not so that they could connect to do work, but actually so they still had the ability to connect to other families. And that was our that was the pātai, you know, who would need a device to be able to connect to the outside world, pretty much. And we started work online straight away. But what we learned from that time to this time is that was exceptionally tiring for the kāko. And he tino pai tō mātou whānau mo te tiaki mai a mātou. And we they gave us some space in between that just to rest. But and we wanted to get back I te mea hāngai ana ki te aho matua ko te tiaki, ko te poipoi ai te katoa te tamaiti, āhine ngaro, āwairua, ātinana, and we wanted to get back a whole child, you know, I te mutunga o te noho mohoa. So me pēhea tērā, ko ngā rautaki katoa hāngai ana ki te tautoko I te whānau kia pērā te pakari o te tamaiti kia hoki mai ki te kura. So tū hono was a big thing for us. Whether they joined on to their classes and stuff, well, at that time, last time, yeah, we were keen for that to happen. This time we've realised that that's a pressure. And so not so hearty into making sure that kids are doing their work and, you know, they're getting online and all that sort of stuff this time around, but certainly it's there, you know. We also realised that I runga I te kōrero tahi me ngā whānau ko te hikipa I te taumaha ma te tuku kai aharana ki ngā whānau. We weren't trying to break any rules. We did find huarahi to be able to order food packages for our whānau and get them delivered every week last time. So, and that was appreciated. And so even if it just took a little bit of pressure off the whānau, you know, I te ngaramata ki te tautoko I tērā. And it was also a good way for us to get some resources to the whānau, because you can actually order almost anything through Foursquares, I now know. So we could even get out some learning resources out to whānau if our kaiako wanted to run certain programs online or a cooking show and we wanted them to have the kai at home to be able to join in and stuff like that. So I rapu huarahi, kei te tūwhera tonu te rā huarahi I tēnei noho hoki. Nā reira mihi ana ki te rā toa, pai rawa, ki arakamu.
Te katoa.
And we ran the karakia ia ata, kei te pērā tonu I tēnei wā, ia ata, ia pō, hei huarahi anō, kia tūhonohono mai, kia tūwhera. Ka whai tonu I ngā tikanga o te ata. So we have a whole tikanga o te ata process at Kura, and we following that same thing every morning. Whakangā, karakia, tuku mihi ki te tai ao. Yeah. Katoa. But that's gone pretty well.
Also last year, we thought seriously about the connectivity of everybody else to us as well, and thought really quickly on our feet about the fact that we would have many kaumatua who we have a lot of interaction with because of the kaupapa that the kura takes part in, and how would we keep in contact with all of them and make sure that they're still a part of a hapori me ki. So the Te Kura o Ngāruahine Rōpū Tautoko page began, and that karakia that we took in the morning and at night also went out to all of the kaumatua, or anybody actually. People were joining in from Australia, Auckland, wherever our uri were. And I just think it's different this year for us. Just here.
I think, and kwa ako, me ngā whānau hoki, you know, it's not new to everybody, and people just took it and they tried. And also, you know, all those other, there's a whole lot of other things going on that people can hono. For Ngāruahine, there's other streams of karakia, there's other streams of hononga iārangi. So there wasn't such the need for the Rōpū Tautoko page. But that was also tiring, trying to run 2 pages. And really, we would have done the karakia on there again. We just couldn't work out how to live it to 2 different pages at the same time.
That's one thing we didn't learn.
Those are all learning curves. But we got you just get better, and you realise that like we join to the other kura pages as well, so we can all watch each other and get knowledge from each other. And man, some people are just awesome, making things up on the computer. I haven't got a lot better at it myself.
Just got to stick to your skill set, Kati, which is those cooking classes. So let everyone know about your cooking classes.
So I have a cooking segment on Thursdays. I'm not quite sure why I put my hand up. There's some way better cooks in our whānau, but just easy kai. And sometimes I practice it and sometimes I don't, but you know, he pai tonu. I roti te reo Māori. Reo Māori was also one of the reasons we wanted to have this hono tonu ki ngā tamariki. Te mamoe tahi karepe whiwhi reo atu I te reo I te kura. So, and we wanted them to come back still, you know, I roti te reo Māori. So very often our classes are connecting every day. And sometimes it's just a whole chatting session, you know. Ngā tamariki ki ngā tamariki. Korero mai ki te kāko, he ahanga mahi o te rā.
And you, in particular, you'll keep your class open the whole time that it's scheduled to be open for, regardless of whether kids have honor or not. And
Yeah.
and often, e te whānau, I get a message coming through with mihi ata on an exclamation mark, and then I'm like, oh, that's right, mihi ata. She's supposed to be on Zoom right now. But that's working as well. Yeah, the kids feel like, oh, pai ana, ka tae tonu te hono, aha ko te wā.
Yeah, I've had kids pop
and they are.
lunchtime. Nah, yeah, I just leave it open. But also, you know, some kids, they rather have, it's quite a busy sort of atmosphere, Zooming. And some kids rather just sit there one-on-one. So they come in later. You know, I already know they're going to come in later.
Yeah.
That's okay to me, you know. Pai no. And they like to just sit and talk.
So, so ko te tuapapa o tō tātou nei kura, o te kaupapa o tō tātou nei kura, ko te aho matua. So for some who are listening, and some are probably listening thinking, hey, kei te kōrero Pākehā rāua.
Yeah, sauce.
There's a strategy behind that, e te whānau. Anyhow, ka haere tonu ngā mahi ngā kōrero ki roto i ngā reo e rua, ki rungi i tēnei o ngā hotaka i tēnei rā. Te aho matua. Because there'll be some people who are listening who are like, what's te aho matua? And why is this the guiding philosophy or the guiding principles of our kura kaupapa Māori within Aotearoa? So we are guided by Te Aho Matua at Te Kura o Ngāruahine rangi, but we're also lucky because we're kura iwi as well. So staunchly entrenched in Ngāruahine tikanga and Ngāruahine kaua, Ngāruahine reo as well. How do you see, what's the, how do they complement each other, I guess, is the question.
Well, ko te aho matua, ko te koina tonu te tuapapa po ngā whakahaeretanga, ko i rā he mātapono, whakahaere ana i tō mātou kura. Mōku ake, and ka reo te ki he pēna mo te kato, e whai ana i tēnei. He āhuatanga whakaako.
Right.
Me tau mātou, me te paingo tēnei ka taia mātou me hoki atu mātou ki te aho mātou ki tiki te meheme kai te whaitoni mātou i ngā tikanga e tikana. Engari hara i te mea ka he aukatinga ki ngā akoranga o te iwi, and he tino kura iwi mātou. Whai ana hoki i ngā tikanga, ngā ahotanga katoa o Ngāruahine rangi. Ka mātou te whai ngā kaupapa o Ngāruahine rangi. Engari raro tonu i ngā mātapono o te aho matua. So, and hei kai ako, ko te tiaki, ko te poipoi, te katoa, te tamaiti, te rati tau o ngā ahotanga. Ko te ahotanga o te kōrero, o te whakaako i te tamaiti. Koera te o ngā ahotanga. Ko te whakahaeretanga a te whānau i te kura. Koera te tau ngā tino ahotanga. So, yeah. I te mea oho rere ai kāre Te Aorangi tukuna mai tēnei pātai kia hau i mua.
Engari, he mata tau koe, he mata ura ki koe ki roto i tēnei ao o Te Aho Matua. So you've been going to learn or dive a bit deeper into some of those, some of the kaupapa that Te Aho Matua encompasses. More recently, your wānanga that you have been attending in regards to Poutiria Te Aroha, which you see sometimes popping up in other spheres, I guess. Not just within the kura kaupapa Māori whānau, is that right? Have I got that kind of right?
Yes. Poutiria Te Aroha, he hōtaka whakahaere ana e Māori tau. Te hunga Māori tau, so ko whaia Katarina, ko whaia Tuiana, ko rātou te hunga o Māori tau whakahaere ana, whaia Helen. Yeah, so nōku te whiwhi, kua kohu atu ai ki te Aorangi raru a rātou, ki Poutiria Te Aroha. It's he ahotanga whakatipu tamariki. Me te i te ririhau kore, e rā hotanga kato, e me te whai hoki i ngā kōrero o tērā tākuta i a tātou i te ratua. Warawara tanengoa.
Me kaere.
Kaere Nathan Wallace, yeah. So, it is about te poi a te tamaiti I roto I e rā mōhiotanga hoki. E tahi mano rā tuatahi o te oranga o te tamaiti. Yeah, he akoranga pai, kia.
Ana ka well, we should be anyway already. That is, actually I can vouch for that. That it is definitely an āhuatanga that we try to take into the kura, and something that we encourage our parents to take on. For example, our enrolment process. Parents receive the Maori order booklet and the Te Aho Matua kōrero for them to take away and read and get to understand, so that they understand that when their tamaiti or their tamariki come into the kura, that these are the philosophies that we abide by or go by. So where you may see punitive measures in other schools, you almost 99.99999% certain you will not experience the same sort of punitive measures at our kura. I think I'm confident in saying that.
He nui ngā akoranga I raru o Poutiria Te Aroha. I had a whole lot of ops moments when we're learning with Katarina Mako, and I'm like, oops, I'll do better with my mokopuna, like, just for my kids. I was like, some of the things that I think you probably wouldn't even realize, and that maybe that was a whati I te tino rangatiratanga o te tamaiti, or, what, that sort of, it's enlightening. I can't say I'm going to do it.
But what would they say is the tino rangatiratanga of a tamaiti? Like, what's an example?
I don't te āheinga ki te kōwhiri I tana huarahi. That is one thing. And also, and because I'm actually really bad at this sort of thing, aki is a pēhitanga. Well, and I'm kind of on the type of but yeah. He rereke te aki te poi. That's one thing. And he rereke te tūmomo aki when you want them to succeed, that's something that you're going to do anything to get them there. Me te kore whai whakaro ki te taumata te tamaiti, ki te tamaiti rāna, So the whole being able to do things in your own time, when you're ready, as opposed to trying to meet a specific standard at a certain level, certain age. And Poutiria Te Aroha partly came out of Te Aho Mata, ka koro ki ngā whā, koe ki te koro. Me te ātarangi hoki, e rā mea kato e te ake ana I te mana o te tangata. Yeah.
I like that kōrero. I mean, it's not foreign to me. I've heard this. Renee says it heaps. About the child. Actually, Rawiri says it more often. The child learning in their own time. So he's quite thing about young boys, going to wharekura at 13 years old. He thinks they're too young. They're not ready to go into wharekura. And the same with the reading age and all of those things where we think, or we've been trained to think that our kids should be here. When really, if I look at Pairo, for example, he wasn't there. he's a clever, bright little kid, but he wasn't there at those, he could have got pulled there, but him within himself, was he there? No. Mihiata, different story, however, she was already recognizing letters and into it, with Whaine Hune. She was the one who was taking her on that journey. But do you see that within our kura? Yeah, within kura, that sometimes we're like hoping they'll be here, but really we just have to accept that sort of a philosophy that really, actually, we got to let them get there in their own time.
Yeah, well, I think, e te kanata, me whakapono ki tāwe whakapono ana, and me whakapono koe ki te kaupapa. Me whakapono koe ko ngā rautaki, ko ngā tikanga kei te whakahaere here, koera te huarahi e te kana moto tamaiti. And I'm actually pretty cutthroat really with there. It's not for me to talk you into it. That's what I say. Kei te whakapono koe ka pai, no mai. But you have to trust that it's going to work. Trust that it's going to work, and it's hard for people to trust that it's going to work because we're growing up in an entirely different system. And we're always being told that is the system. And even though our Māori kids have failed for decades, or whatever, in that system, people still always want us to, people still look to that system. And so they still, ka hara mai and ka pātai mo tēnei, ka pātai mo tērā, mutunga iho. Those are the same things you could have get from the school down the road. Ne?
Yeah.
So me koina tō whakapono. But and I think people understand that now. We talk about that. We're like, yeah, okay. You realise that those kura have had those systems in place for years, and still we're at the bottom of the heap. Still we're at the top of the bad statistics, bottom of the good statistics, and they've had all those huarahi open to them for decades. So why do people want us to go there? He huarahi rere tēnei, I runga I te whai oranga mo tō tātou, o tātou tamariki, hei Māori. Not just whai oranga mo te tamariki. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a huge difference in wanting a Māori education, mātauranga Māori for your kids, and an education in te reo Māori. That's probably the biggest question that comes my way when people are inquiring about sending their kids to kura kaupapa Māori is, so will they learn in te reo Māori? Like, well, te reo Māori is the language of instruction, but will they learn te reo Māori? Well, by osmosis, they'll learn te reo Māori, but we don't have te reo Māori class for 5-year-olds, sort of thing. But once people can get their head around that, it's actually it's mātauranga Māori and not education in te reo Māori. Well, we've seen it. People come, people go. Some stay, some don't. And I guess in this day and age, we do have to have options. But you're right when you say, we've been failing in that mainstream system for, what must be near 2 centuries now. So it's, I think if you're looking for that avenue to come into kura kaupapa Māori, aho matua, then it's not for the faint-hearted e te whānau. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted. And Renee says it all the time. Kat can explain it a little bit more. It's tough. You've got to have a bit of a backbone, because when your friends were certain, you had a bunch of friends before, your friends are going to change. You're going to see your belief system change also, because it does become a lifestyle, right?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. And And, kei te kitea, ko waimare mātou, ko pake ki ngā tamariki, kei te kitea te hua, ngā hua. But, yeah, I don't know, people will always have doubts.
Yeah, so true. And so, with our kura, we are a kura that really supports all of the kaupapa. And he akoranga no tērā, like that's another huarahi to learning. That's a belief that we have. Can you expand on that?
Well, I think as long as when you're deciding, I think it's what is your priority, eh? So we are very heavily iwi involved. Nā reira ka haere ki te nui o ngā kaupapa. Whaiwhai haere te kura I te nui o ngā kaupapa o Ngāruahine. That's a priority. Ne? So, a pūtea nei, ka whakaritea kia nui toni te pūtea mo era haerenga. A akoranga nei, ka nui tātātou akoro I ngā waiata, ngā poi, me era watanga katoa. As well as being a kura, we're trying to whakaora no I te tō mata iwi. Tō tātou iwi. Kia puta mai I nei tamariki me a rātou mōhiotanga ko wai rātou. Kia pai hoki tā rātou whakaki I ngā āputa o ngā marae. Ko keiwhea. Kia mōhio tonu rātou ki ngā whakahaeretanga o te marae. My mua, my miri, ngā wahanga katoa. So it's an extra responsibility almost, eh? So we're learning everything that you have to learn in kura and some.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a busy life.
Wow, Te Aorangi has a way more busier life than I do.
Oh, that's because I'm following in your guys' footsteps. Gosh, but obviously when I turn 50, it all slows down a little bit. Ka pai, only 8 more years to go, e te whānau, and then I'm there. So we have been on this whānau journey for some time now. Started, 30 years ago? 30 years ago? When Kath started rua mata, basically. And Renee and Awari were right there with her. And here we are now, doing the same with our tamariki. And that's legacy mahi, that many whānau who we know around Taranaki, they have their own legacy mahi. Some of them are with kōhanga reo. Some of them, they're in kura as well, or whatever. They could be into league, rugby, whatever it is that their community is, that they're doing the mahi. And very recently was Kath, aroha atu e te whānau, so our first cousin is Kathy Juice, and she had her 70th birthday party, and that there was a good show of the hua of kura kaupapa Māori, right? When you see all of those past raukura and current tauira, there at her 70th birthday, and like they would be, I didn't see Jade Timoni there though, but I did see Pirita would have been the oldest, I suppose, and she's 40, I'm 42, what's she, 44? 44 years old. But just a good show of, good hard work that people have put in over the years to keep a movement going, because it hasn't come without its challenges. Where do you see us? Where do you see us heading? Are we? We're very present within wakaama. We're seeing more of our kids now playing rugby. They're getting on national. They're on national stages in regards to sport. We've produced doctors, lawyers, scientists, neurosurgeons. We had a pilot there too. Actually, Matua Hoani Hooker's boy, he did go to Kura Kaupapa Māori for a little bit too. He's a pilot now. We'll take him as well. Physiotherapists, we're producing them. People, look at, there's probably isn't anything that we haven't ticked off the list. Do you feel like we're soaring because you've been a part of it for longer as well, and you've got kids who are raukura?
Yeah, I think that, if you have a look at the raukura that are out there now in their 30s and 40s, certainly our tātou raranga and our statistics and things, that we're doing exceptionally well. But, for me, and this is possibly slightly controversial, what is exceptionally well? I love that we have the lawyers and the doctors and things, but what's important for us right here, right now in Taranaki, is if we had some kaiako kohanga reo.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And that's, I went to graduation at Rāua, and that was equally important. Those kids that came out and kua hoki ki te kohanga, even though ia rātou ngā āheinga te haere ki te whare wānanga, kua kōwhiria ki te rahei hoarahi, and that is equally as important mō te tipu i te reo. The thing about Kathy's 70th that I loved was further back than that, those people that I kawe te petihana reo Māori, ki paremata, I reira etahi o rātou. And I don't know, some of you might know my daughter, one of my daughters anyway, she comes out with the funniest things. And when they stood them up to show people who these people were that were in Ngā Tamatoa and Te Reo Māori Society, she couldn't believe that they were still alive. It's like, oh my God, what a tonu rātou. I was like, wow, if you look back, it was like 50 years ago, almost. So fair enough.
She also didn't know that they had Pākehā names either. So she didn't know who Peter Sharples was, but she knows who Papa Pita is.
Yeah.
Now, funny that you say that, because I just interviewed Ngāneko Iriwata, and she played on the 7th of September, and she talked about her kui hana te hemara, being one of those who presented the petition to the government. Also, so yeah, just the exposure, I guess, for our kids to have, and it's not unusual for our Māori speaking kids to have exposure to these people who have put in the hard graft. And it could seem quite celebrity-like to others, but actually these are people's kuia, these are people's nannies and koros and uncles and aunties, and they're just like you and I, really. When the kaupapa's going, you're on the kaupapa and you got to do the mahi, and that's the way it is. So yeah, that would have been neat to see too, all of those.
And just to appreciate, I think, to appreciate where that got us, where has that got us? And even if Campbell's running around the streets as a 10-year-old or whatever, trying to get signatures for that PTR, that was cool. So, and so our kids do have an appreciation for where it's coming, because they're actually a different reanga in Nei Tamariki o Naine. They weren't born in the era of the whawhai mo te reo, and possibly take a lot more for granted than say Kirama and them's reanga tori te ki muni.
Yeah, very
just
true.
But just on that whole systematic failures and things, I trained at Te Kura ko tuatahi ki Rotorua, which actually they started just to show the government that it wasn't that our people were failing in the education system, it was the education system that failed them. So the people that were actually, they were targeting to be on this akoranga kaiako were people that didn't get university entrance when they were at kura. And we were lucky to get on. Mātou ko mina ko pep, mi te mai ia mātou te tiwhike te haere ki te whare wānanga. It was a political stance to show that these people can meet university standards. It's just that they didn't They weren't in the system that gave them the certificate. You know, they failed. The system failed them. That was the whole point of that.
And that's been the kōrero the whole time, right? That the system has failed. Yeah, the system has failed us. It's not us who's failed the system. I never knew that. I didn't realise it. So technically, you, Pep, and Minna should have gone to uni. You shouldn't have, gone into a university instead of going into the university accredited course with Te Kura Pauako.
Yeah.
Ah.
And so, and we were much younger, and for that reason, we were younger than the others, because the others were entered under adult students, because they didn't have the degree, the UE or whatever that you needed to get in initially.
So do you think that, because, I mean, that was like 100 years ago. Nah, not that long ago, whānau, but it was some time ago. Do you think that was when they started up the Maori and Pacific Island streams, Maori and Tangata Pacifica streams, that you could get in without UE? If you had, you could go onto the bridging courses. That was what was happening when it was my turn to go to uni, but I'd already got UE as well.
I haven't.
And then, interesting, kōrero. So the whole movement really essentially has been political from the beginning.
Yeah.
Kura kaupapa Māori. And I guess in a sense, just trying to bring this back to what we were originally going to talk about, and we have covered already, is our way that we've dealt with the COVID response has been political too. Because a lot of the way we've used our common sense in order to keep everyone safe, but also cared for. For example, when we go back into level 2, we'll go back with karakia and a way that safely embraces all of our kura whānau and makes us our own bubble. Now, I'm not sure that of course, our kura will be doing that, but I don't think that other schools would be thinking that holistically. Maybe some are, about the returning of their tamariki to kura, and just reflecting on the hui that we had today, where it was the parents' choice, really, for them to decide whether they were even comfortable with sending their kids back. What's your thoughts on that?
Kaurau te mohi o mō kura ke. Mohi au mō mātou o Taranaki, mātou kura kaupapa Māori o Taranaki, kei te aho oriti, te whakaaro. But realising that our hāpori whānau ki konei, they're pretty much 90%, 99% maybe essential workers. So everybody was still going to work during level 4. And I feel like it kind of changes your mindset a little bit about coming back into one big bubble. Because our people are already used to going out to work, going out every day through that whole noho. But certainly, tino rangatira-sanga, no doubt some people have concerns, and so kei te whakahaere hea tonu e te akoranga a ipurangi, kei te tūwhera te kura. Ina hiana te hoki mai. But also that whole thing about meeting standards at certain levels, what if you have to do something again next year, There is no rule that says you must finish school when you're 17 and get off to university when you're 18,
And I wish Renee had to come on this actually. But like she says, why do we have to leave school knowing everything anyway? I mean, you don't know everything, but why do we have to try and jam pack every single subject, known to man, into your high school career of a whole 4 years? you know.
And then you leave with a whole lot of stuff that you actually never use again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure English has done me well, but I don't know. I don't even know how I got UE now that I think about it.
But taumata toru English, I don't know if I needed all that. Yeah, actually, it was Renee that says that who says we have to leave school at this age and we must, start university at this age. And I actually think that's thinking is quite wider now. That's a different word and how we were talking the other day about, like, we're saying to our kids, this is not normal, but actually it is going to be their normal.
Yeah. I talked on the show, on the breakfast show, about the photo of Malia. So our mokopuna, or our niece, sent us all a photo of her daughter, our mokopuna, with her mask on and a bag thrown over her shoulder, one of your reusable bags, and she was all ready. And she says, "I'm off to the supermarket." And you're right. Koira te aoina nei me mau I ngā ārai kanohi, I ngā wā katoa, nā kei te kite ngā pipi, our pipi paupau, I taua āhuatanga. So there's our moko, all ready to go, which would have looked like a normal photo, but she had put her mask on herself. And that's how she's seeing the world right now. It is, You're right. This is their world.
That's our moko that I'm pretty sure said my name when she was watching our other famous sister on breakfast this morning.
Oh, funny. Nā reira Kati, he kōrero anō au, tau mo te maria e whakarongo mai nei, e pāna ki te noho moho au, me te tuku I o koutou tamariki ki te kura anō.
Yeah, I think me just kia haumari te noho, ke kaua tino āwangawanga mō ngā koranga o ia rā, koira tāku ki aku mātua. And a ka hoki anō mātou ki rā koranga. Ngā mea ko mai I roto I enei wiki. Ngāri kare hoki mātou I te hehia whakataumaha I te tangata. I te maka te hoki maharau ki te noho tuatahi. And I had 3 teenagers at home. I'm trying to do my work. They're trying to do their work. We've got 1, maybe 2 places in this whole huge house that gets good Wi-Fi. And then I come in to check to see if they're doing their work. And they're online with their camera off doing TikToks on the other side. So, yeah. And by the end of it, I had to actually sit next to the 13-year-old for those whole Zoom sessions with his kāko every day. It became very stressful for me. So that was a akoranga, But this time around, actually, kids have enjoyed joining and wharekura, and almost all of them every time. So
yeah. Well, I can hear them, and they seem to be doing a lot of laughing.
Yeah, you can't. And there's things you just can't help, in this situation. And so, yeah, we've had to develop kind of an attitude of, damn, that didn't work. Hope it's better next time, So I had a karakia session and we practiced. My class practiced the day before. Ko mātou kei te whakaari te karakia. Got on early so we could practice again. Once we joined to Facebook, pukamata, ora, I might add, all played up. Didn't even work. Kids holding us out, they were lagging, and I was like, it was a total mess. But anyway, you can't help that,
Yeah, so true.
So you just have to
go
with it. E tai waka, e rite nei mena he tino. Tōhunga mātai ki enei whakahaeretanga, and e tahi wā rite nei ko te wātuatai.
Yeah. Tika. Oh, ngā mihi nui Kati. There you go, e te whānau, those of you who are watching. I do have 3 big sisters, and this is our rock. Actually, Renee's the rock too. But this is Kati is the oldest out of us younger three. So she's like the older child, I guess, oldest child. And I am the luckiest youngest sibling in the whole wide world.
Whatever she wants for breakfast on Father's Day.
Hey, I did cook you tea last night. Come on, you must have been surprised by that.
Thank you very much.
Nā reira, e te whānau, koutou rā kua mātaki mai nei, marunga i a pukamata o tira ki koutou rā e Whakarongo mai. Ki rungi i tō tātou nei oe tuki manawa o te korimako o Taranaki, ko maua ko Kati tēnei, e me i kau atu ki koutou a katoa, kia pai ai te Noho mo'o au ahakoa kua heke anō te pai haumaru ki te reanga tuarua. He tikanga tonu, kei reira tonu ngā tikanga, ma mātou e whai. Horoi ringa, maui tō ārai kanohi, aua āhuatanga katoa, kia haumaru ai te noho e te whānau, hei ko nei, hei ko nā, tūrau, Hawaii.